So last week I recorded a video that talked about how ADHDers do all these super awesome, amazing things. And I didn't know at the time that I was going to be making a part 2, but here it is. If you want to see that first video, I highly recommend you do before you watch this one, otherwise this video might not make a whole lot of sense. I'll put a link somewhere, maybe down in the description, I don't know. Anyway, some of the feedback I got from the last video was, after I talked about all these amazing things that ADHDers have done that I know personally, I got the feedback of, well, I've never done any of those things. And I got that feedback from multiple people. So it wasn't just that one internet troll keyboard warrior person. I'm going to call out those specific people kind of at the end of the video, so hang around if you want to see that. So if you watched that first video and you ended up scratching your head saying to yourself, I've never done anything like that, let's talk about that for a minute. We are notorious for doing a few things as ADHDers that kind of make it difficult to think about some of these things that we've done. One of the main ones that I want to bring up is we just don't remember. We have lived so much of our lives focusing on the negative and not really remembering any of the good or positive things that have happened in our lives. It's like living in this echo chamber where we replay all of our worst hits. Now, this is actually a defense mechanism. Our brain is doing this to try and save us from any future pain, but unfortunately it's a tactic that is really awful. The logic behind it goes like this. If we remember the negative or the bad things that happened to us, and we focus on those, then we can make sure that they don't happen again. But it really doesn't work out that way. What ends up happening is we just relive those awful moments over and over and over again, and bad things still happen. And it has the added benefit that if we are focusing on the negative, that's all we end up seeing is the negative, because that's all our brain is focused on. So we can't really rely on our memory to help us with figuring out good things or reliving good events until we go back and we actually parse through them. But from now going forward, when you do things that are good or that you enjoy or that are satisfying for you, write them down. And write them down in the same place, because if they're scattered all over, you're never going to find them when you need them. I keep a little note file on my phone that I call a smile file, and whenever anyone says something nice to me or compliments me or texts me and says thank you for doing this thing, I copy it and I paste it into that note file. And then whenever I'm having a crappy day or I can't remember anything good that has ever happened to me ever, I go through and I read some of it. And it helps me to remember that I'm a good person and I try and do good things. And for those of you who have seen that particular video, yes, I do return the shopping carts. The other main thing I want to talk about is discounting. So when we do good things or when we do things that are enjoyable or that are amazing, the temptation is to look at them and say, oh, well, anyone could do that, or that doesn't really matter, and just kind of brush it aside. Maybe it has its roots in humility, but I kind of doubt it. I think it really comes from, as ADHDers, not being able to recognize or realize the full extent of the things we're actually doing. Impact too. A lot of the things that we do reach a lot of people and have a good influence in their lives. And so when we discount, we are essentially saying that it doesn't matter to us and it doesn't matter to anyone else. And we're making that choice for them, which really isn't very fair. Also, we don't have a very good sense of ourselves, and so saying something good that we did really doesn't have a big impact on us is kind of lying to ourselves when we don't really know. Anyway, bottom line for that thing, stop discounting. And yes, I know that's way easier said than done, but when we catch ourselves discounting, like any bad habit, we need to stop, we need to recognize what it is, so say to ourselves, I'm discounting again, and then take something that we're trying to discount and recognize it at face value. That maybe it is important and maybe it is a really good thing that we did, and who are we to judge? It also might help to get someone else's perspective. When we catch ourselves discounting, text or call someone. I know, heaven forbid that I should recommend that we actually call somebody in this day and age, but anyway, talk to somebody and say, hey, I did this thing and does it really matter? What do you think? Or maybe, is it something I should be proud of? And get their thoughts, because usually looking from the outside in, you're going to get a much better perspective. All right, now we need to go through and remember the past. All the things in the past Okay, maybe not all of them, but the things in the past that we have done that actually do matter, but we just don't remember. So we need to make a list. And we are really good at making lists most of the time. But we need something to help us remember, and I've got a few ideas for that. So sit down with your computer or a notebook and a pen and pull out all the old yearbooks that you have. Maybe any old journals that you kept, or even some pictures. And when you have them all out, scattered around the table, just start going through them. Take a stroll down memory lane and let these things prompt you into some of these memories that we have of things that we've done, but they just don't come to the surface when we say, hey, what are all the awesome things I've done in my life? And when you pick up that picture, or when you turn that page in the journal or the yearbook or something else, and that flash comes to your mind of, hey, I remember when this happened, write it down immediately. And then spend a few minutes reliving the memory. And remember, when you do all of this, you're not allowed to discount. Okay, next thing to help us spark us to remember is to talk to people that know us really well. Sit down with them on the couch or do a video chat if they live far away or something like that. So if you don't know where to get started in this conversation, just be open and honest and tell them the truth. Tell them, I'm trying to remember all the cool, awesome stuff I did, and I really only remember the negative in my life, and I'm tired of thinking that I've had a sucky life, and I want to remember this good, awesome stuff. And this weird YouTuber told me to do all of these things, and I'm listening to him for some odd reason. Have that conversation with them. Go down memory lane as they remind you of all this stuff that you've done in your life. And write it down. Write it down as you're talking about it. This has the added bonus of you get the external perspective and it's built into the conversation. Oh, and again, you're not allowed to discount any of these things. Don't argue with them. If they tell you something, you just get to write it down. That's it. I mean, talk about it and relive the memory too and enjoy the moment, but don't discount it. Now for the part of the video we've all been waiting for, where I get to roast a few people in a good way. They watched my previous video and they said to themselves or others, usually others because that's how I found out, and so we're going to fix this by me essentially calling them out and telling them some of the awesome things that they've done in their lives. I know someone with ADHD who in college did an internship in Italy, which is pretty freaking cool. And on top of that, same person is part of an improv comedy club. They are absolutely hysterical, and I will never hear the word noodle the same way again, ever. I know someone with ADHD that currently leads an organization. It's actually one of the oldest women's organizations in the world. They lead a local chapter of over 1,000 members. And they've performed CPR on a dead guy. And someone pulled a gun on him. And get this is like the coolest ADHD thing ever. This guy pulls a gun on her, and then he turns and points the gun at himself. And she looks at him and says, "Go ahead, show me how tough you are," and then walks away. So what awesome ADHD things have you done? Put them in the comments, and remember, this is not bragging. It's not even humble bragging. What you're doing is you're giving examples to people so that it can spark that light for them, and they can say, oh yeah, I did something like that, and it will help them to remember. Anyway, I hope this video was helpful. I appreciate you spending some time with me today, and I look forward to the next one where we engineer the crap out of ADHD.